Well guys, in today's video I want to talk about camouflage and scent control, but before I get into it I want to talk briefly about how the bucks are looking here in the Midwest this time of year. It's still pretty early into February, getting closer to mid-February, and that's probably the time that I would start considering going to shed hunt. It gets kind of tough during this time of year because you go on Instagram and it seems like all you see are shed antlers popping up everywhere. And sometimes even some big ones. You get one warm day and a lot of people are going to go out, and then a lot of people are going to post it to various forms of social media. But don't jump the gun too early, or at least be realistic with your expectations. I went out last weekend mainly just scouting. It was a super nice day. I got into the 50 degrees, Super Bowl Sunday. It was a great day to get out, and I wanted to try to find some spots closer to home. We usually hunt down on the weekends about 2 hours away. So I wanted to get some spots in case I get a free day during the weekday that I can go out for an afternoon hunt or a morning hunt or something. And I went out, scouted, found a really good spot. It was close to an area that we saw a pretty decent buck in last fall, me and my buddy Toby. We were mainly just driving around. We didn't see a lot of hunting pressure on this public land and saw a pretty good buck locked down with a doe. So I wanted to go scout that area, and we found a pretty good spot. Definitely found the bedding area and a lot of really good sign, found where they're feeding. But we didn't find any sheds, and I kind of expected that going into it. Still definitely kept our eye out, but mainly we're scouting. And then after that we went and drove around and just looked at deer, and it really confirmed my suspicion a lot. That was just last weekend, so pretty up to date, and we didn't see a single shed buck, at least that we know of. I mean, if a buck had dropped both sides already, we probably wouldn't have been able to tell from the road. But we saw plenty of bucks with both sides still on. So I would say definitely a majority of the bucks are still holding, way over 50%, probably over 75%. But there's nothing wrong with getting out early. And if you want to go try shed hunting, go right ahead. Maybe hit the food sources right now and don't go into your timber pushing out deer. It also depends a lot on whether you're shed hunting private land or public land. If I'm shed hunting public land, I'm probably more apt to go out a lot sooner than I would be on private land, because some of those shed antlers might grow legs and walk away if you wait too long, middle of March or so. But if I'm on the contrary, if I'm on private land, I'm probably gonna just keep intrusion to an absolute minimum. Let the majority of deer drop. I don't really care that much about antlers getting chewed on. I'm not too finicky about that, so I'd probably wait until early March at the soonest if I'm on private land to really start pushing in and shed hunting. So I just thought I'd give that update quick and let you know we did find a pretty good spot to hunt next fall, we think. So I'll probably be giving that a try. But without further ado, we'll get into the main topic of the video. And I want to jump back to a hunt. It was pretty early in November, I think maybe November 1st or 2nd last season. And I went up with my buddy Jack. We hunted where he grew up hunting, and we took our buddy Kirby. And this was actually Kirby's first time deer hunting ever, I think. And he had a blast. We were so excited to get him out into it, get him exposed to it. We knew we were going to have some pretty good action-packed hunts. They're small properties, just permission properties, but they're pretty dang good in the rut. So wanted to get him out, and here was the situation. We called it like the Walmart general store hunt or something like that, because none of us really had our main camouflage. Jack had his stuff, but my stuff was actually down where I usually hunt. I didn't bring it back that weekend. So I didn't even have my camouflage, and Kirby didn't have his own stuff either. So we were just bundled up in just regular streetwear. And the other thing was, all three of us were hunting on the ground, which is pretty funny. It's actually weird. I grew up hunting, even bow hunting, just sitting on the ground. I actually had a mild fear of heights growing up. So for me, it's just kind of come second nature to me. I've never really even thought about question hunting off the ground, but to a lot of people it's really weird, and they don't realize that you can even bow hunt on the ground and get away with it and get deer in bow range and kill them. I've just been doing it so long that sometimes I forget that people don't know that, and it just is second nature. But to add to that, we had 3 guys all sitting on the ground and had deer in bow range, and not a single one of them looked up at us until they hit our scent trail, really, which is the next thing I'm going to get into. But that's the main thing I want to get at here, is that camouflage is definitely not entirely necessary. And I do think it helps maybe conceal movement. And the biggest thing with camouflage is that it's going to break up your outline a little bit. So if you do want to get camouflage, make sure you get some stuff that's like really high contrast. And to be honest, my next point is that flannel shirts are actually a pretty dang good camouflage because they break up your outline a little bit. They have a pattern to them. Deer don't really see color, at least not very many. I think they might see blue or something like that, according to the scientist. But the main thing is you can't be moving, and if you do want camouflage, it's just to help break up your outline. And the main thing is break up your head and neck outline. And the biggest thing is also your face. I think sometimes they can see that. I do something a little bit, maybe some people think it's crazy, but whenever a deer is looking right at me, I try to squint and hide my face, because I've heard that deer can see eyes and circles, just shapes a lot better, and they pick out stuff like that. They pick out that, and movement is the biggest thing. So I even squint whenever deer are looking right at me, which is probably a little bit crazy, but it can't hurt, right? So wanted to point that out, that you don't need camouflage. And this is a perfect example, because there's 3 guys just sitting on top of a brush pile. It wasn't even that thick, but as long as you're not moving, the deer aren't going to see you unless you're moving, or they hit your scent like they did here. That's my next point, is scent control. Now I want to talk specifically about ground scent, because when you're set up and just hunting with the wrong wind altogether, I think that's a little bit of a different story, and it's really hard to get away with that. But ground scent, on the other hand, is something that I do think you can control. We use Limit Shield products. It's a good company. We really like the guys there. So full disclosure, we use their products, and I think you guys should check them out. They work pretty good. But in this hunt, we didn't use any scent control. Like I said, we were just wearing street clothes, so not even hunting clothes. They weren't washed and scent free, nothing like that. And we just walked through, and we were hunting with the right wind, so the deer were on the downwind side of us, or upwind side of us rather, I guess. They weren't smelling us from the wind direction, but every time they hit our ground scent, it was like they hit a brick wall. And each time it was deer that weren't suspecting anything, because they had never even looked at us, even though we were sitting on the ground. But they just about jumped out of their skin, and that's definitely in contrary to what I'm used to. Wearing rubber boots and spraying down pretty heavily with scent sprays. You can get away with a lot and not leave that much ground scent, as long as if you're trying your best not to touch the brush and stuff. That's the biggest thing. But if you just follow those simple precautions, you can knock down a lot of ground scent, and a lot of times those deer will just walk right over it and won't even bat an eye. And I think that's the biggest thing with scent control, in my opinion. That's the biggest reason that I use it, and I like to practice it, because it not only can screw up your hunt if a deer comes and cuts your scent trail and spooks and bugs out, because after he smelled us, all the deer would then start looking around, and then they would kind of spot us. So it can ruin your hunt in that sense. But one thing that people don't realize is that scent stays there for 4 or 5 days, however long it is, pretty significant amount of time. So then every deer that cuts that track in the next 5 days or whatever is going to be alerted, and it's going to know that someone was in his area. And big deer don't like humans. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it's kind of a silent killer that I think a lot of people don't realize. It's not talked about enough, is that if you are constantly leaving a scent trail going to and from your stands, especially if you're hunting the same ones, deer catch on to that way more than you know, because they walk through and hit that scent when you're not even there, and it can really burn out a spot. So even if you feel like you're not getting picked out, and you're not spooking anything, you can still be burning out a spot with your scent trail if you're not careful. So that's kind of the 2 main tips today. I won't drag it out any further. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comment section down below, and subscribe to see future content. Thanks for watching, guys.
Can you please just talk a little bit about the wardrobe this morning?
Really had a big screw up, guys. Forgot my hunting pants, and had to go with the Champion joggers. Then decided to put some Cabela's Ultimate over top, just drape it over. It's the best camo you can find, so if you're gonna buy camo, go Cabela's. I know Brunk's not sponsored by them, but I'll tell you what, don't buy any of the expensive crap, buy Cabela's. That's all I have to say.
What are you got going on for wardrobe?
I got a nice old navy flannel with the Carhartt over, Champion joggers as well, with my Timberland work boots.
Working out pretty good.
Ideal hunting equipment.
And then last but not least, I got flannel, Bass Pro Shops,
fleece lined with a Target $20 insulated vest, because all my hunting crap is down at the farm, and I have way too much of it, so I don't like bringing it back and forth. A little cold, but I'd say we did alright. Those bucks didn't even see us, yeah. Plus we look cool as heck for the trophy pictures.
Is he shooting? Is that the one with Q saw?
Might be.
Split two.
That's what I mean. I think it is that deer that Q saw.
Cool buck.
That is that.